Yeah, so for those that have heard a bit of my journey, I ended up in hospital, similar sort of story to you, in 2010. And I had, they said, chronic fatigue, IBS, fibromyalgia, panic attacks, eating disorders. I had the worst case of the cold sore virus they had ever seen. So I had cold sores all over my face, in my mouth and down my throat. I couldn't talk, I couldn't eat. And literally, they were just like, here's these antibiotics, here's these steroids, here's these antivirals, off you go. And that was the catalyst for me getting on my journey. So that was October 2010. I went and dove head first into the wellness space. I studied nutrition, meditation, I did my yoga teacher training, I started detoxing, I started doing enemas, I did everything. And when you don't have your health and then you get healthy, you are so, I was so grateful to feel well again. And at that time in my life, I just kind of started, I would keep relapsing as well. And I remember making myself, I lived in Bondi Beach at the time. I remember making myself a smoothie. This is when I was just getting healthy. So I discovered this stuff called quinoa. Have you guys heard of it? So I started eating quinoa and kale, and I made myself a rice milk. This was when rice milk was super popular. And I remember throwing in some activated almonds. And I literally took one sip and I got hives all over my entire body, my neck, my face. That's how inflamed my gut was. I was so unwell that even eating an organic activated almond triggered hives, eczema, all of this in my body. So people often say to me, oh, how do you live so clean? How are you so clean? How do you do it? For me, I know what the opposite is, and I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. So I began my journey back then. I was eating clean, discovering all of these things, and continued to just learn and grow. When I met my husband in 2013, I remember meeting him, and before that I was like, I don't want to get married and I don't want to have babies. Then I met him and I was like, I want to get married and I want to have babies. But we knew that for us it wasn't for a few years away. We were building our careers. He was a touring musician. So we started priming our body then. So I went to a naturopath at the time in Sydney. And I said, do all of the tests, do all the baby tests. And she's like, how exciting. Are you going to start trying now? And I was like, no, about 6 years. And she was like, for her, I was like, yeah, I'm going to prep my body now. I'm going to start prepping my body right now. I had high mercury in my system. And she kind of was like, a little bit like, oh, okay, you don't need that long. And I was like, let me just do me. And so I started prepping my body. I was doing all the things. I started working on my mindset and, really getting excited. I read every pregnancy, every empowered home water birthing book you could. I interviewed the world's best experts on orgasmic birthing and all of this stuff. I was like, I want one of those births. That's what I want. And so I just kept on educating myself and learning, and I had a podcast which has got over 24 million downloads. So I was in a very unique position where I could literally get on the world's best experts and I just asked them the questions I wanted to ask them. And so that was really cool. And then it got to a time in about 2018, I woke up one morning, I turned to my husband and I said, I'm ready. And he was like, just like that? And I was like, just like that. This mothering instinct just flicked in within me overnight. And so we decided, that was around October, we decided to wait until the following year. We had the most beautiful ceremony. There was beeswax candles and it was beautiful, and we meditated before. It was amazing. And so because I had been so healthy for so long, I literally thought we would get pregnant the first time. And then when it didn't happen, I was like, what? I'm the healthiest person I know. I meditate twice a day. I literally was so perplexed. And then it didn't happen the next month. And then the next month. And then the next month. And I lived my life in these 2-week increments, either waiting to see or waiting to get my period. And I lived my life in 2-week increments. And that went on for 18 months. And every month it felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest. I yearned to be a mother so deeply, and I wanted it so much. And I already was communicating with her. I knew it was her. I knew her name. Her name actually came to both of us in a meditation at the same time, which is just amazing. And so I was so perplexed as to why this was not happening for me. I'm healthy, meditate, yoga, what the hell? Drink clean water. I do all the things. I was like, I don't get it. Then I realized, I remembered that I am a spiritual being, and it's not just about the physical. There is a whole spiritual component to this. And for me, it was really a spiritual journey of letting go, of surrender, of trust, all of these things that your children remind you of every day, to surrender, to let go, to trust, to let go of control. And I feel like she was teaching me. She was like, come on, mama, let's learn these a little bit more before I come in. And I was like, I just want it to happen right now. I want it on my timeline. I want it on my timeline, forgetting that there is another spirit that has her timeline. And she, for her karmic journey, needed to come in at the exact time that she came in. And so there was such a huge spiritual, emotional learning and journey for me that I needed to go through, because I did all of the functional medicine tests and all the doctors are like, there's nothing wrong with you. Your hormones are good. You're all good. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then it was like, I've got to really practice surrendering, really practice letting go of control. Does anyone else struggle with control? Yeah. So I had to really practice these things and really live them